and welcome all to the Abundant Life Center on this beautiful, sunny January 25th of 2026. So first, to begin our service, I'll light the God candle as a representation of the one power in the universe, known by many names, and the name you choose to use is welcome. Okay, well, let's center ourselves before we begin by closing your eyes and placing your feet flat on the floor. Take a deep breath, and we'll do a guided meditation here. Imagine an old, sturdy chest sitting in front of you, the kind built to last with a heavy latch on its lock. Reach out, lift the lock, slowly open the lid. Inside, you see that the chest is completely empty. Now picture all of your worries, desires, and frustrations, everything that weighs on your mind and pulls at your attention. One by one, place them gently into the chest. Take a moment to be sure you've left nothing behind. When you're ready, close the lid and turn away, leaving the chest behind you. In front of you stretches a breathtaking view, the vast sea from the edge of a high cliff. Feel the fresh air, hear the sound of the waves, and take in the peace of the open horizon. Now open your eyes. You are calm, present, and free. And being the first meeting of our month, we're going to share our values. We'll all be muted and we can read this together or silently, however you choose. Our values: we show up and act with gentle honesty and authenticity, vulnerability, caring, and trust, open and welcoming hearts, attentive listening to and respect for one another, an intention to connect with the divine, a dedication to community, a commitment to grow through spiritual practice and service. Okay, and our opening song is Shower the People by James Taylor. So with that gentle, upbeat song, I'm so excited and pleased to have our old friend Giovanni Strano. Is it Strano or Strano?
Either works. I like straw. No.
Strano. Okay, perfect. Many of you will remember Giovanni was part of our community for a while in the past, and now he's off on his own direction, guiding and sharing with other people. And I asked him what he'd like to say for an introduction, and I love what he wrote. So I'm going to just go ahead and read it and then turn it over to Giovanni for a meditation. And his topic to share with us today is compassion, especially for your true self. He says, I was warmly welcomed as a visitor and weary traveler on my spiritual journey while crossing over a critical threshold of transformation. While my visits with ALC were only a few times spread out over a couple of months, I was encouraged by your sincerely supportive and close-knit community and your desire to learn and spiritually grow as individuals and as one. For the past year, I've been creating and encouraging a similar space in the battleground area, welcoming others to join in small meetup group events, promoting times of sharing about personal journeys, beliefs, and prompting questions to seek the deeper meanings and inner workings. All of us traveling alone at times, yet still in need of connection with others. I feel ALC inspired me to take the action of creating an outlet for myself and others to share those deeper meanings we learn on our own private journeys and while walking together. And with that, we'll turn it over to Giovanni. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, I'm looking around for that guy that you read about. That's no, that's honestly. Thank you for welcoming me here and the opening. And uh, so I guess we'd like to start with just maybe a quiet grounding meditation. Is that what we'd like to do here? Um, so I like to just take some some deep self-led breaths, and then at some point I'll prompt you all to just join into some kind of shared deeper breathing. Um, so let's just start by feeling the earth under our feet, connecting with that. You place your hands on your chest or on your lap, wherever is comfortable to just feel the flow of energy. And with that, just do self-paced breaths for just a few minutes. Just let your body move and relax. Find the places that are tense, recognize them, and just allow them to move out with the breaths. Just time for some self-paced breaths and silence. You'll keep your eyes open or closed if you want, or whatever works for you. And as you're feeling the energy of the earth beneath your feet, and energy flowing in and out of your body as you breathe the air in and out, I'd like you to take a deep breath in and just fill your belly full of air, full of that energy that's getting delivered to your body. Let it do what it needs to do within and circulate it out. Just hold it deeply within you for as long as you like, and just allow it to exhale. Don't force it. Just let it out. Do 3 breaths like that, deep into your belly. Hold it for as long as you like, and then let it gently exhale out. If you're ready, you can open your eyes if they're closed. Gently feel the air, the space around you, the space that you exhaled. It's become an atmosphere, a space of intuition, a space of guidance, love, and acceptance. You've created the space. I'll collectively share our spaces together this morning. So whenever you're ready to join an open discussion, I'll be ready to open up the space. I'd like to start by just sharing very briefly about me. Thank you, Cheryl, for reading about what I've been up to for the past year, and what I'm bringing this morning is really that I'm going to just I have a very short story I'm going to read. It's from one of my favorite books, a book that chose me actually. It's called The Tales of the Dervishes. It's a series of very short stories of Sufi master tales. Um, I can place a link to the book in chat, and I can also place a link to the story in chat for reading on your own, but I'll read it aloud. Um, but it's it's called The Tale of the Sands, and it's a it's a story about a stream, and I'm going to read it aloud and just picture the metaphor, picture the deeper meaning behind it, and just be prepared to share from your heart how it speaks to you or how you would like to speak out in support of it. So I'm going to go ahead and share the story. I'll just read it aloud. It's called The Tale of the Sands.
I need to make you co-host if you want to share it. I can make that.
Okay. Want me to share up my...
Now you can share it.
Okay. Hello. Share.
You should share on the bottom of your screen.
I'm looking for it. Oh, there it be. Okay. And are we sharing? Hold on, and there it is.
It's coming.
Yes. Okay. All right. Someone give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen. Awesome. Thank you all. Okay. I'll just read it aloud. Follow along with Tale of the Sands. A stream from its source in far-off mountains, passing through every kind and description of countryside, at last reached the sands of the desert. Just as it had crossed every other barrier, the stream tried to cross this one, but it found that as fast as it ran into the sand, its waters disappeared. It was convinced, however, that its destiny was to cross this desert, and that there was no way. Now a hidden voice coming from the desert itself whispered, "The wind crosses the desert, and so can the stream." The stream objected that it was dashing itself against the sand, only getting absorbed. But the wind could fly, and this is why it could cross the desert. By hurtling in your own accustomed way, you cannot get across. You will either disappear or become a marsh. You must allow the wind to carry you over to your destination. But how could this happen? By allowing yourself to be absorbed in the wind. The idea was not acceptable to the stream. After all, it had never been absorbed before. It did not want to lose its individuality. And once having lost it, how was one to know that it could ever be regained? The wind, said the sand, performs this function. It takes up the water, carries it over the desert, lets it fall again, falling as rain, and water again becomes a river. How can I know this is true? It is so, and if you do not believe it, you cannot become more than a quagmire, and even that could take many, many years, and it certainly is not the same as a stream. But I cannot remain the same stream that I am today? You cannot in either case remain so, the whisper said. Your essential part is carried away and forms a stream again. You are called what you are even today because you do not know which part of you is the essential one. When he heard this, certain echoes began to arise in the thoughts of the stream. Dimly, he remembered a state in which he, or some part of him was it, had been held in the arms of a wind. He also remembered, or did he, that he was the real thing, not necessarily the obvious thing to do. The stream raised his vapor into the welcoming arms of the wind, which gently and easily bore it upwards and along, letting it fall softly as soon as they reached the roof of a mountain many, many miles away. And because he had had his doubts, the stream was able to remember and record more strongly in his mind the details of the experience. He reflected, yes, now I have learned my true identity. The stream was learning that the sands had whispered, we know because we see it happen every day. And because we, the sands, extend from the riverside all the way to the mountain. And that is why it is said that the way in which the stream of life is to continue on its journey is written in the sands. So now, it's okay if I stop sharing, or shall I keep the words up so we can keep pointing at it? I'll leave that up to you guys if you'd like to.
No, you can stop sharing, I think.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So here's how I like to do this. I really like to just open up, and you can either just stay off mute and chime, however you guys interact well together, or you can raise your hand however we want to have this open discussion. But I guess I just wanted to put a couple little questions along the way, and I have some other prompts I might introduce. But most likely, half the stuff I wrote down isn't going to be worth mentioning because it's going to come from you guys. It's going to be way much better than I ever wrote it. So, and that's what I really love about these discussions. And so I like to encourage that. So let's just see what prompts we want to do here. Okay. The first question I want to put out there is, how did the river gather its identity as a river? How does it know it's a river? I want to put that prompt out there just to kind of stir up, but please also feel free to offer anything you want. Again, this is an open discussion, but that was the first question that I was prompting myself.
Well, I'm thinking it only thought it was a river. If that was all it thought it was.
Yes, it believed itself to be a river.
But probably
Yes,
also also because of the experience, right? It has been a river all along. And so he couldn't imagine anything else but being a river.
Right, and it wanted to go ahead and plow through the sand the way it had always been going, and that wasn't an option. So it had to think creatively.
It's transform.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is that the river can go through rocks or erode rocks, but he couldn't do anything with the sand, even though the sand was softer, right? So it means strength is not necessarily the how do you say, what drives the change.
You're right. Beautiful. I hadn't made that connection, but you're right, because some people feel like I'm going to forge ahead, force,
Yeah.
and sand is more permeable and can be broken down and broken through. But really, the river couldn't break through it,
No.
right? It was absorbed
Yeah.
by it. So that's a very good point. I love that. I'll offer up that the river, its identity was defined, and this is really building on what Eric said, was defining itself by its circumstances. Okay, started as rain, running water, and gravity pulls water downhill. That's a circumstance. And then there are river banks and boundaries that it falls within, right? Right. And so those circumstances, those boundaries or perceived boundaries, and the pull of gravity, what is gravitated to, is really what created the stream. So the circumstances created that to recognize itself as a stream, when really it's made of something more. It needs to realize, as we all do, need to realize what we are made of, right? What do we have in us, right? Just like, what does that river have in it? Not to get scientific, right? Water is H2O, 1 part hydrogen, 2 parts oxygen. Am I right? I don't know. But it's, what is it made of? And what are we made of? And then the river needed to remember that, what its true, what was the right wording here? It's true essential part, right? The essential part of you. Okay, I'll stop talking. I always start rambling on. I want to open up. Keep the space going, guys.
What just, as you're talking about that, brought to mind the picture of the God drops. We're all little God drops in the ocean, and we can transform. We are, unlimited, and so is the stream.
There are different aspects. If you think about the stream and the life cycle, right? The water flows over rocks and so on. There's erosion, but sometimes it pools and it's kind of stuck. It makes a pond or a lake or whatever, right? And sometimes you need to help out to get it to flow again. So there is more to it. It's this. For me, my analogy came with leadership. Been in a leadership position for many years in the design and production of equipment for the packaging industry, and sometimes we had problems where we were just stuck, and we needed some force to get through it, and sometimes it just flowed, and I could back off, and let things just happen. So it was a continuous flow and how do you say, kind of stuckness that you get into. But I realized that only after I started meditating. That's when I started realizing that. Before, it was always with force that I got into the works that I was doing.
Yeah, that's right. You're touching on some really good things there that we can spin off on. One direction at some point I should keep a parking lot of spin-off topics because I think there is balance, there is ebb and flow, there's polarity in life, right? And so there are times for force, and there are times for just to release and allow the flow, allow gravity to pull you where gravity needs to pull you. And at times maybe river does need force, it's if it's pushing up against a log jam, right? There's a log jam in life, and you're right, and there's blockage, and more metaphorically, inside yourself is the emotions or concerns, anxieties, right? But you need to there is some sort of inner force, not force, brute force, but inner force, energy, right? That inner energy that can help transfer, right? Exactly. So there's so many good conversations in this, and I guess I want to make one more point, and then I want to just open up the space some more. But when I first read this story 2 or more years ago, like I said, this book chose me at a used bookstore, and I first read that story. I'm like, oh, what a beautiful story. That's the kind of story I'll just tell my kids about it, because when I die, I want them to read that at my memorial service, because it does have that. But that's just one layer of it. This story is not to be saved for the last day of your life when you die and then they could ship. No, every day this example is relevant. It's not to be saved for a certain point in the future. It's for you to be always willing to transform when you run up against those sands that you cannot cross, right? What do you have within you? What is the essential part of you that you can keep with you to transform without totally losing yourself? And that was the river was afraid of, right? But it needed to remember that there is an essential part of it. So thank you for letting me interlace along the times you guys are sharing too.
And another thing that I wanted to point out is the fact that the river flows only in one direction. So whatever happens on your life path is where you are. You cannot go back. Whatever you know is what you know, and it moves you forward. And I think that's important too. We if we have bad experiences or whatever, there's no way back. You just gotta go through it.
That's a perfect point. It's not time travel type of a thing. Or time travel in one direction, in one flow. You can't. Rivers don't flow back uphill, or no U-turns and do-over. So I guess I want to put the prompt out there, because I know I put the word compassion into the title here, and that's where I started. And this story kind of introduced itself into my timeline, or reintroduced itself into my timeline recently this week as I was thinking about compassion and self-compassion. Okay, so I would like to not just wrap around, but maybe just immerse into the river here, how compassion would play into this scenario where one would. So please go for it if anybody wants to share.
Okay. Yeah, that I like that, because it's a place that I am working through. So sometimes my mind will show you need to get to work, do more. Then my mind will say, well, you need to rest. And then the other times it says, well, you need to let go. And there was a little story I heard the other day. It was about it's a Buddhist monk story, but to summarize it, basically this man had these fishing nets that were tangled, and he's yanking on them. And every time he pulled one end, the other end got bound up. And he spent hours until someone walked by and said, just hang the net from the tree and let it go for a few days. And the net, just through the energy of everything, just found its way back into the proper place. And so I think having compassion, like what I'm working on for where I am, allowing that energy of need to release and allow myself to flow.
Which is what the stream evidently finally realized, to let itself go to the wind.
Yes. Yes.
So can I ask about self-compassion in that same example that you're talking about, right? And the wind, the loving arms of the wind, and Barbara, you're talking about just allowing yourself to untangle without forcibly untangling, right? Which I think supports what Eric was talking about as well. Something it's like force just going to make the knots tighter, right? Right? but just to relax and to allow yourself to integrate. I think in psychological terms, I guess if you want to go there, that because another parking lot question thing is to really understand what you're made up of, yourself, shadow, subconscious wise, right? Allow yourself to detangle. And so in self-compassion in the story, I guess I'd like to kind of think about the different players and characters in the story and see what are the different elements of yourself. So like the voice coming out of the sand, the wind that's carrying you, the river flowing down the river before it reaches the sand, gravity pulling you, the mountains, the essential part of you. If one were to say, every component of the story is me, right? Would that be self-compassion and really understanding? I'm not even quite sure what the prompt is there. I just wanted to share and see if that stirs up any thoughts about self-compassion and if you were to see yourself in each one of those players in this story. So
You just reminded me of something when I was having dreams, and I love to dream, and I have lovely dreams. Every once in a while, it's not so lovely, but I change it usually if it gets that bad. So I'm flying, and I'm really enjoying flying and soaring and being around. And then I'm going up, 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 and up, and all of a sudden there's all these wires. There's a telephone wire and electrical wires and all kinds of wires, and I can't get through that maze. And I would wake up just so frustrated. And so I mentioned that to a friend of mine who is a science of mind minister, by the way. And she said, well, if you think of the wires, what are they telling you? And the wires, I said, oh my God, they're telling me you expect to have problems, so here they are. And she said, yeah, okay. So then next night, I went out and I went to flying, and there were no wires because I didn't expect the bloody things to be there. And I just flew and flew and flew. And finally, I was so far away from Earth, I was a little concerned that I might not find my way back. And so I came back. But I think that was a kind of a self-compassion for that person that was struggling to finally realize they didn't need to struggle.
Ah,
it's beautiful. So is anybody else? Oh, let's take it away, Kay. You.
No, that Carol didn't need to put obstacles in her way. She didn't.
Yeah. But this is what engineers do. That's what they think all day long. What is going to fail? What is not
Yes.
going to work?
Yes, you're the expert at fixing problems that nobody else thought was a problem.
That's right.
Quick time check. How are we doing on time? Because there's plenty of stuff to.
Oh, we've got an hour. We got a long time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So good to know. I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah.
Because as far as when.
Well, I'll say 45 minutes for discussion and 15 to close. So
Okay.
we got
So
lots of time.
okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Just to put it in perspective, my weekly meeting, I schedule it for an hour, but truth be told, some of us stick around for 3. So I'm not saying that's what we're going to do here, but I'm saying it's just there's so many deeper meanings where these all could go, and it circles back around, and then it just kind of anyway. So compassion. As I was sitting on that and just starting to, I do a lot of journaling. I've got a stack of journals, and I just fill up pages with journals. So as I was just journaling, I to get my thoughts collected, I'm like, okay, compassion. Okay. Like, I don't think I ever sat down and looked up the word compassion in a dictionary. I've just always used it. I mean, and I think that's true for a lot of words that I use. And I think maybe a lot of the faces on this Brady Bunch screen would agree that it's maybe we do use words that we just kind of grew up using, right? And so there's this cultural version of that that maybe has taken a different shape than the original form. And so for compassion, I really wanted to just say, okay, well, let's break that apart for a minute, Giovanni. Make sure that your definition and understanding of compassion maybe lines up with like, I don't know, Webster's or the original form. So let's see if I have. Anyway, I think I'll just go back to the original form. So I wanted to. We've got too many pages here.
I did that once too when I was speaking.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. All right. So compassion, right? So if we look at the, not to get all boring, technical, school, you know, it's ish, but it's like calm from in the Latin means with, and passio, Passio, in the Latin is to suffer. So compassion is to suffer with. And so if we were to just sit on that word and think about those two words together, to suffer with, um, just think about what other words, what synonyms ring well with you on that as I'm sitting on it. So with, I'm good with that, but I'm going to go with to suffer, to endure, to um, uh, to and thinking about passio, which is passion. How can passion be suffering? I mean, it can't. It's the context, but I think modern day passion, I think, is maybe more romanticized. It's like something you love or someone you love, right? It's something you're passionate about, not something that you're suffering about. But but you can tie it together though, because you're willing to suffer to experience what you're passionate about, or to suffer through it. Excuse me, but take it away, Cheryl. I see an
Well,
idea.
no, it just it kind of brought something to light when we were in Mexico at Christmas time years ago. We saw a passion play.
Yeah.
And it's like I didn't really understand the term, but that's what they called it. And it was, the archangel and Mary and Joseph and all the townspeople, and it was all their support and their suffering, but their passion. And I hadn't really understood that passion as suffering. I don't think it's our modern interpretation of it, but that's good to go back to the Latin where all language comes from. Most language, most
of our spoken language, right, exactly. So it seems like that, and this might be a stretch, but I'm going to put it out there too. As I was looking it up, and I am the least qualified person in the state of Washington or beyond to go here, but I'm going to just share it anyway because I found it very interesting that that the Hebrew word for compassion, which I don't even have it in front of me and I wouldn't be able to pronounce it anyway, so I'll just say that the Hebrew word for compassion is rooted in the word womb, okay, and which is very nurturing, and where growth and development and change occurs, and birth. And so I was thinking about that how does that relate? How does that compassion and the rooted word of womb, how does that translate to the river? I know it's kind of a stretch, but in that story, the wind welcomed the river into its loving arms, almost like cradling it. I'll carry you over. You're transformed. You're safe, and then you're reborn as rain and a river again. So I found that there's an interesting connection about how one could even tie that in together.
Well, and then Eric is talking about the banks of the stream, which are like the pelvic girdle. So,
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, right, exactly. So there are connections to be made and deeper meanings to be to find in even the most simplest of stories. So I wanted to call that out. I also wanted to call out that the I already mentioned the opposites, polarities, right? We were talking about force versus just release and letting go, and they're opposites, but they're on the same spectrum. They're just one extreme versus the other. And so I wanted to call out the word pity versus compassion, because it seems like you could feel bad for someone, but you aren't called to suffer with them in some way. You just kind of feel bad. Oh, poor thing. And then, it's too bad, But
What about empathy?
right, there you go. And that's a good thing to do a word study on as well. That was another branch of the rabbit hole that I could have gone down because of comparing the two. Right, but I think my understanding would be, and maybe Cheryl, your question is you're asking the question, and maybe you want to keep going with it, but I can to say that me sitting on that this week for just very briefly was that compassion, empathy is to feel that, but not take the action,
Mm.
right? Compassion is to feel that and then be drawn to take some action.
Ah.
Okay. That's kind of where I'm at
Because
this
I've
stage.
always heard that sympathy is like outward, looking at somebody and feeling sorry for them, but empathy was more an inner feeling.
Yeah, right.
But maybe the compassion is one step beyond that, taking the action, which brings to mind the protests in Minneapolis of all those people who are so compassionate for what's going on that they're out there in solidarity and love and union to support everybody in that group. So that to me would be compassion. They're taking action.
Yeah, I was kind of having fun with that word earlier, like if this in my own little I'm not going to call it meditation, just my own little thinking about the processing of the word compassion and action. It's almost like if you were to take the word compassion and like overlay the word action in there and say compaction or something. You say it 10 times fast, you're going to wind up saying compassion. And action is just in there. It's in the syllables of the word, it's just kind of there. It's just baked into it if you really want to play with that, which is something else I love doing. I love just playing with words and see how they can kind of fit into things. So, but yeah, the action is. But
Well,
go ahead, Eric.
maybe to that. I mean, your nervous system is a big thing to do with that. It has essentially two polarity, right? One is attracting, the other one is rejecting. And each word that you have has actually an effect on your nervous system. Pity is a rejection. So it's kind of two polarities that separate. Where compassion is an attraction, whereas they come together. And you can feel that in anything. It doesn't matter what it is. If you pay attention, your nervous system will react first, and it will have an immediate effect on the field, on your field, and your, how do you say, your interaction with somebody else. So,
And we all unpack words differently.
yes.
Different parts of the country, so different words mean different things. And so while you may be feeling that energy and not understanding why that other person isn't, it's because you have different words for what you're unpacking.
Words, that's a big parking lot topic
Oh,
right
yeah,
there.
because
Words is. Oh, go ahead, Karen.
well, I was telling somebody that I needed to move by them, and I said, "Excuse me," and it was a teenager, and she said, "Well, excuse me." So obviously, we meant different things by what we said.
Oh.
And they do affect our energy. They do affect how we feel.
Right,
And
because words are the logos, like the word of God, right?
Yeah.
Because what did God do? And just kind of parallel, from let's use the Bible, in the beginning, he spoke, let there be light, right? And I mean, and so I'm just saying it's to take it metaphorically. If your belief system is kind of outside of that literal, because I'm all about looking for metaphors and examples. Take it away, Barbara.
Well, what if it's beyond the word? I mean, when Carol just gave that example, I'm thinking, what is the feeling under there that the words triggered?
Yeah.
Because knowing Carol, I mean, I don't know you very well, but I doubt you said it like, excuse me.
no, I said it very kindly and gently,
So
like
what
you
was
would as a friend. Yeah.
the energy under there was the real issue.
The intention behind it. Right?
And so when we're looking at sympathy, I've watched people and myself, starting with me and then started to observe it. Becoming sympathetic sometimes takes you into their energy. And I don't want to go into their energy because it pulls me down. Empathy is feeling into it, into that vibration and going, wow, I can feel what they're going through. And to me, compassion is just holding that space of love.
The arms to hold and carry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I agree. And so, like in the story, right? It didn't say the wind tugged and pulled and pushed and shaped, and they just carried, like I said, that space to carry. So I think that's well said.
It was an interesting thing I learned.
You're frozen.
You can see
No,
it's
not
essential. There he
on
is.
the one on the Zoom I'm frozen, but on my phone I'm not. No, but it had to do with the studies that they did in California, and it has been I think in 2007, where they made what's called a mu room, where they can totally empty the environment of electromagnetic fields and put somebody in there or control the electromagnetic field in the room. And people felt totally disoriented when you took out the electromagnetic field. Because the reality is we are an electromagnetic field. We reference everything to what is around us as an electromagnetic field. And if we don't have that anymore, we lost. There's no reference anymore, no reference point anymore that guides us. And that was an interesting study in this sense that, yeah, it comes back to everything is energy and frequency, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. If you remove all that energy, yeah, you're in a vacuum, and suddenly you are disconnected from
Lost and disoriented, and I mean, the people were crying and they just lost it. You know?
There's another word that's changing in our society that I just found out about. I have a grandniece who is neurodiverse. And what I've discovered meeting a lady who is in the theater, who is also neurodiverse, said, we're calling ourselves queer now. I said, oh my God, you're reclaiming the original word? And she said, yes, we are. I said, that's going to take a while because that word still makes me feel mad at people that use it against people that are neurodiverse. I said, it's going to take me a while to adjust to saying queer again. Got the energy on that. Wow.
Neurodiverse isn't a term I've ever heard.
Either.
Oh, I probably has because it's in my family. So the first thing she told us was that, and it's now he, by the way, he told us was that they were autistic. And then I guess as time went on, she identified herself as a he and didn't have any sexual feelings whatsoever. And that has another new word, which means asexual. But yeah, so I'm connected with that community through my family and what's going on with them. And the new way to talk about he or she in that environment is to say they. And I can tell you that the plural word they is hard for me to say when I'm talking about a single person.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and neurodiverse just means anyone. We're all neurodiverse in our own ways. It's anyone who doesn't think in the normal way. So
White Protestant male, yeah.
oh yeah, well, I'm way neurodiverse then.
I think we all are.
That's a good word. Or two words.
Diverse.
And compassion there. Yeah.
When I was studying Native American spirituality, and we had people in our circle, and we used words like two feathers or three feathers, or like, well, how many feathers do they have in their hat? It's like, oh, it's like this whole thing that instead of being smaller or weirder or having to either be one or the other, it's like, what happened to like both or all three or four? And the whole thing of looking at it as growing and bigger instead of smaller felt new to me and interesting. And that's kind of a picture I try to remember, is the two feathers or three feathers or whatever that means.
And then as Giovanni is telling us today, having that compassion for ourselves, to be able to accept ourselves and who we are now. And if we want to change, accept that we may want to change.
But that doesn't change who we really are.
No.
Maybe it helps
Well, the
us on
essence,
a path
yeah.
of discovering our true self.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's, yeah. And Giovanni, as you said, the original thing at the funeral, that was my original thought. Oh, we're talking reincarnation now.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And who was the stream when it was in the wind?
I'll bite, or anyone else can jump on it. I think we'll. Right. It's soul reintegrating with spirit, going to the mountain, and then re-individuating as raindrops to return to identifying as a stream again. So it's like your soul again reintegrating with spirit. That's my interpretation, but I would love to hear all the different thoughts on that. That's go ahead.
I agree with that. It's how do you say, it's going back to oneness, and then this duality of dividing ourselves again, right? We divide ourselves with words, with thoughts, and we split more and more and more. The more we invent new words, we can divide ourselves. But this is a good example of unification of who we are, because at the end it's truly energy, right?
Yeah.
So the water molecules are still there. There can be steam, fog, rain, water, snow, ice, but it's all the same
Right.
deep down, just like we're all molecules of the universe.
Right. And
They're not,
sorry.
they're not the oceans, they're the waves, right? The waves are still part of the ocean, but
And the droplets.
yeah, that's right. They vary, they jump out, right? But they're still part of the ocean.
And in the story, that what we're talking about, Cheryl was talking about, was the vapor, right? The vapor was carried away by the wind, and that's so. It's, but that's the.
there are so many places you can go with this subject.
Yes.
I'm really enjoying it. Thank you.
Okay.
It is great.
This is what I love. This is what I get together week to week, and this is why we find sticking around for like 3 hours on a Saturday morning.
I can see that. Yeah.
It's so easy to just, and then it'll come back around again, and the loop. It's like, okay, well, now that we've done that, we can build on it. And it's like this is it's the conversation itself mirrors the cycle of energy. Anyway, go ahead.
Bonnie, what you just said is that loop of expansion and contraction, expansion and contraction. Same thing as duality, but we expand, we contract with the breath, and that's what shifts us, pulls us here, opens us there. And it can be a season, things are seasons.
Right. So I'll tack onto that because I think both Cheryl and Eric kind of went to the ocean and the wave for a minute, right? And you have to have the trough and the peak of the wave for the wave to exist, right? Because if it's just a trough, it's not a wave.
Right.
And has anybody ever seen a wave with a peak and no trough. I mean, it can't exist. One can't exist without the other. You have to have the peaks and the valleys, the trough and the high and low, the ebb and flow, all that. So, yeah, the expansion, contraction. Yeah.
So in other words, the more we focus on our spiritual development towards a state of love, the more we pull on the other side towards a state of hatred and away from love as a consequence of this logic. So the division that we experience is also a result of the awakening of human society.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, you have to have division to then recognize what reunification is, or unity is.
Right.
So yeah, it's polarity. Another parking lot question or topic: the 12 universal laws. Has anyone ever kind of explored that, or at least the universal laws, the laws of oneness and action, the law of attraction? Everybody's like, woo-hoo, but there's more than that, and they all are connected. So and so it's that ebb and flow, it's the polarity. They're all connected. They have to have the connection for either of those sources of for either ends of those spectrums to exist. You have to have that. So that's a fun thing to maybe just start digging into on your own time or whenever, is start identifying those universal laws and how they all fit together. Law of oneness is the first one, and that law is evident in all of the other universal laws where they connect back. It's like a woven tapestry. Yeah.
Did you read the Ra is the Law of One?
Oh, so the Law of One?
Ra is the Law
Yes.
of One?
Yeah. The four book series. I've read that, and we've actually just started talking about that again in my group.
It's fascinating. You're the first ones that I meet that has read them too.
Yes, the Law of One. I read all four books about a year ago, and I think now present day Giovanni needs to reread it again with a fresh new lens, having gone through a transformation cycle. I think my true self is transformed around, and I think I'm ready to pick up that book or those books. I own all four. I need to reread them now again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Just the concept of picking up a book and finding a hard time reading it, and then 2 years, 3 years later, pick it up again, and it's like, oh, I read it in an afternoon where I couldn't even get past 3 pages before.
Well, that's one.
You've evolved.
Yeah, that's one interesting experience I had this week too. I went to ChatGPT and wanted to know what Jesus had to say about faith and trust, right? Okay. And so I went down the rabbit hole with ChatGPT. And so eventually I challenged it because it was just, bringing the religious dogma forward, which frustrated me. And I said, look, it's just bringing back religious dogma. You're not talking truly about what's in the Bible. The Bible has everything, actually, from a spiritual perspective that we are talking about. It's all in there. So which led to, at the end, recognize both of us, is that it's layered. The Bible is layered. Whenever you're ready to read it, how it is, where you are, you will get the information. And it is very, very spiritual if you think about the statement that Jesus made. But it's layered to the level of your understanding. And it has been used as a weapon because you can interpret it however you want. And this is a powerful book from that standpoint. But it is layered. It is adapted to your level of understanding. So I made peace with the Bible.
Yeah.
But maybe not its representatives.
Yeah.
I get stuck with anger, and trying to understand anger and resistance and safety and security, and I get mad. My issues are about, what does it mean to have disability and to be handicapped? Well, it has a lot to do with how I park, where I park, what I drive, how I go, how other people treat me. And when I get mad, how I want to just, flip everybody off and just be mad at the world and mad at the circumstance. And what am I going to cook and how am I going to cook and how what am I going to read and what am I going to do and how's this going to end up? And I get all tangled up with all of that. And it has a lot to do with anger and what it is and why and how I get so pissed off at the world, not just at my circumstance, but at the whole world. And whose fault is this? And what do I need to fix? And how can I work on it? And I don't know what to do with that anger. You know what I mean?
What is the gift, Arlene?
What is the gift?
Yeah,
What gift are you talking about?
the gift of being where you are right now.
What's it showing you? So
It's
if you
showing
want-
me a lot about who I am and who everybody else is and how systems work together. The lesson is how does togetherness happen and what do I need to do that? It's like watching a football game. We have football today. There's going to be a winner and a loser. And I know who I want to win, my team. I want my team to win because I know and love all those guys. I've been watching them and supporting them for years. And it's like almost like a game of winners and losers.
Well, what is your position? Where can you be a winner? I mean, just you personally.
Mhm.
I can figure out what time the game starts and how I'm going to
No,
watch
that's
it.
not what I mean. That's not what I mean.
No.
What you yourself can do to feel like being a winner.
What can I do to feel like a winner? I don't know what I can do to be a winner. Figure out how to be heard and seen and loved and supported instead of feeling like an underdog and I have less than everybody else and somehow
No, you
not
have so
important.
much to give, Arlene. You don't even realize it.
Mhm.
Oh, she
Okay?
knows.
Your friends realize it, but you don't. That's what the problem is.
Yeah, it starts with you, Arlene.
Yeah,
You've got to look at you and love yourself. And when that happens, everything will shift.
yeah.
Well, one thing I noticed, Arlene, as you were describing that, I was seeing Barbara's net all tangled up, pulling on one side, pulling on another, and then throwing it all up in the air and then letting it come down as it would.
Yeah.
So are you saying, Carol, that she's working too hard to try and untangle it? And
She's got too many things to untangle at the same time. And she pulls on one and then another gets ignored or that one gets worse or a different one gets worse. And then I love that metaphor, by the way, Barbara. I will definitely use it in my coaching.
It was in one of my yoga classes that I
Yeah.
do online.
Because
So
sometimes when I've got too many things to worry about, that's what I do. And I didn't realize that's what I was doing. I was just letting it go and going and making a sandwich or something.
Mhm.
Just throwing that net up in the air and let it come down.
Yeah.
And when it comes down, it usually comes down with peace. Like I don't have to worry about all that crap.
Right.
But that's for me. That works for me.
Yeah.
but
This might. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
sorry,
No, you're
Arlene,
fine.
just one little thing. Remember Barbara's question, what is the gift? Try and step out of the anger, the frustration, the real unhappiness, and see what you might have gained in your life from having to depend on other people, having all the struggles that you have with your disability. If your life had been easy peasy, how would it have been different? I mean, what have you gained from what you struggle with? And it's a big question. It's not something that, I expect you to find an answer. It's just stepping out of the quagmire and trying to look at it from an outside perspective and seeing if there is any upside anywhere in it.
Something that just came to my mind, Arlene, was when you were still sub-teaching. I think it was at Prairie High School, maybe, or Hawkinson. Those kids who loved you so much came together and had a fundraiser, and didn't they either buy or contribute to some either a chair or something for you to make things easier? And they just showed so much outpouring of love, compassion, and support.
And you gave them that opportunity to grow. It was a growth opportunity for your students to care for you. Normally, it's the teachers who care for the students, and you gave the students the opportunity to care. And wow, that probably was a pivotal moment for a lot of those kids.
Neat.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah,
that
and
really
I-
touched me at the time,
Yeah.
that they,
yeah.
you think kids are so
Yeah.
out in their own world, and they were so loving towards Arlene.
That's compassion.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wanted to reintroduce the word passion or passion, part of compassion, right? And so, Arlene, as you were exercising your passion for teaching kids, they mirrored that, and they responded to that, right? And
Yes.
so putting yourself in that place. And so to talk about polarities, you were talking about about being angry, anger, and all that. I feel like anger is the polar opposite of passion in the modern day sense, modern day definition of it, where you are doing what you are passionate about, what really your inner what numerology would call your soul's urge, your soul's desire. You are exercising that, and so the question is, as an individual stream, let's bring it back to that. I think we're going to be wrapping up here very soon, Cheryl. It feels like.
Yeah.
Okay, that um, does one sit in that stream um, in the negative polarity of anger or sadness or pity or whatever word you want to put in there, whatever your situation is, or lean towards the positive, and what brings you joy? What can you do? The football game was, I mean, you defaulted to that, right? I mean, there's an underlying energy about that. There's something there to tap into. I'm not saying that sports is where it's at for you, but there's an underlying energy of a passion there. And Cheryl mentioned the teaching, so what brings that positive, the positive side of which is your true essence, right? To transform. Okay. I feel like I should stop talking at this point, but I really enjoyed the conversation and everywhere it went, especially in Arlene's direction there. I think that was a very nice, and it's also a very nice segue, I think, to the closing song. I could be wrong, but I feel like it would be a very good, it's very fitting.
Thank you, Giovanni. This has been such a rich and heartfelt sharing. I just appreciate you bringing that topic to us, and for everyone's contributions. And maybe it's a chance for us to just meditate today about our role, and how we can transform as the little droplets of water. And thank you so much. It was so rich, and
thank you.
so nice to have you here. Hope we can do this again.
Well, I'm developing a parking lot list of topics for us. If you, no, I'm kidding.
And we don't have 3 hours, so we have future times to get together.
Okay.
Okay,
Awesome.
thank you all. And so, as he said, we have a great closing song. Another James Taylor, You've Got a Friend.
Oh,
Sweet. Thank you. Nice. So, on that lovely, warm note, let's greet each other with namaste as we close this portion of our service. So, namaste.
Stay.
Namaste. Great. Okay. So now, as we kind of move into our closing section, I just want to remind us that we are an independent spiritual community entirely supported by our love and God's gifts. And if you are wanting to make a contribution, we have a new address for our donations, our mailbox that we've had for years. We decided it was time to let it go. And so I will be sending out a reminder after service when we get the notes from the service. I'll also send out a donation notice about the new address to send to, or you can do it online if you can figure that one out. So, okay.